Hey, welcome back. Looks like that cut off short, but welcome to the Political Go. I'm your host, Uncle Felix. Today I have a special guest for you. It's going to be Chris, the tax guy. He's here to join us today as we talk a few things tax related. Obviously, we're going to speak about the 50 Cent and why he is now endorsing Trump. Uh, which he let out in a hilarious tweet. Um, but Chris, the tax guy, is going to help us discuss that. We're going to talk about a bunch of different topics. It's been a crazy week, so we got a lot to cover. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my man, Chris. Hold on, give me a second here. Hey, Chris, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, Uncle Felix?
It's going. It's been a crazy week, and I was looking for an excuse to bring you back on because I enjoy having you on, and 50 Cent let out a tweet the other day that that gave me that excuse. I don't know if you saw the tweet. He said that he's all in for Trump now, and he pretty much said, I'm just gonna say what he said. He said, "Fuck Biden," with his 62%.
I also thought it was funny that even though he's had past business dealings with Trump and they've worked together in the past, he's like, I don't care that Trump don't like black people. You know, like,
And
that joke might have gotten picked up elsewhere as not a joke, but like still, I mean, that was his mantra or his tweet. I thought it was hysterical.
yeah, I mean, if you know anything about 50, he's quite the troll on social media. So
Mm.
it's even tough to take him seriously on the tax thing too. But I definitely see his position and why he would feel like that. And that's why I brought you on. I want you to break down to us how is the Biden tax going to affect people like 50 Cent?
All right, so in a nutshell, if you make over $400,000 a year, Biden is not your friend. Run, don't walk.
Yeah.
How he has so many celebrity endorses and everything else and all these political justice warriors is beyond me. Everyone that makes more than $400,000 a year is going to get hosed
Hmm.
under the Biden plan. And what Fiddy was alerting to is that it was not just the Biden proposal, but it's the rates he was quoting on his little screenshot
Hmm.
came from the tax foundation. Yeah, he doesn't look happy about paying that extra tax. I'll tell you that right now.
No, no, not at all.
Even wearing that suit, he just does not look happy about the tax bill. So, but what he was alluding to is that states like California, New York, New Jersey, they've all gone through and started to promote measures to increase the highest tier tax rates, which
Hmm.
for those states it really goes over $1 million. And I think we can all assume that yeah, he probably makes more than $1 million with
Yeah.
all of the investments, his business, his record label, and everything else that he has going on. Not to mention his royalties on his
Hmm.
farm. It would be
Yeah, I know Forbes, back in, I mean, it's been a while. I think it was 2012 was the last thing I saw on Forbes about him. They had him, at $110 million net
interesting.
worth. I'm sure it's much higher now.
So even if you would have just put that in a savings account, you're going to make more than $1 million a year in income.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he's probably doing a little bit better than that. I think he's probably beating the Bank of America, interest savings.
Hmm.
So but the reality is that Biden has a lot of proposals, and for some reason he has his kind of vision set on this $400,000 threshold. And this, what he's proposing to do is in a few things. So you may look at it and say, well, he's looking to increase the top tier tax rate from 37 back to what it was before Trump cut it, which was 39.6. And that's one thing. But he's also looking at limiting your deductions. So if you have itemized deductions, you can limit those to only get a 28% benefit, even though you may be paying tax at a 39.5% rate.
Hmm.
That's going to make it harder for you to use your taxable income.
Hmm.
And on top of that, he's looking at increasing so that currently, if anyone is out there making over $137,000 a year,
Hmm.
you notice that you start getting more in your paycheck as a
Hmm.
percentage of your total revenue. And the reason is because the Social Security tax or your portion of the payroll tax on your W-2 or however you're earning it, or if you're self-employed, you pay the whole thing. But and after 137,000, that number drops off. Social Security caps.
Mm-hmm.
So if you make $250,000, you're paying the same amount of Social Security taxes as the person that's making 137,000 because they're paying it out at the cap rate. So now what he wants to do is put in a 6.2% or actually 12.4% Social Security tax. Of course, that would be split between employer and employee like it is now on all income over 400,000. So basically, you can make up to 137. You're paying the normal Social Security taxes. Then up to 399,000, you don't pay any more or less. And then at 400,000, you start paying it again.
Yep.
So right there, when you talk about just those two initiatives, and there's more that he wants to do. You're talking about an effective tax rate of about a 1.5% or 1.2% by limiting the itemized deduction benefit. You're looking at a 6.2% Social Security tax that you didn't have to pay before. And you're looking at a 2.6% increase in the actual effective tax rate. So you've got, what is that? 8.9% of additional tax on anyone who's earning over $400,000 of income. Now, on top of that, he's also going to say if you're a small business and you're currently getting the benefit of so say you're a small business owner and you're getting the benefit of this qualified business income deduction, Section 199A, which is what a lot of small businesses that are operating, they're under a pass-through entity, they can get some of that money that they pay their taxes on. They get like a 20% discount or a tax-free exemption on income. It's supposed to really help small businesses. It's supposed to spur growth, et cetera. Well, Biden's come in and said, look, if you're one of those people that have a business and you're getting income over 400,000, you're no longer going to get that deduction. So now you're increasing those people, those individuals that are getting the small business owners that are going to get the benefit now are going to lose that benefit if Biden gets elected. Now, not only have you increased the rates, but now you're taking away a huge deduction on self-employed earnings. And if you are self-employed and you're paying your own payroll, well, then now you're going to have to pay both sides of that increase in the Social Security taxes. This is a huge tax hit for any individual making over $400,000 a year.
And it doesn't make any sense to me because even though Trump cut the tax rates, we saw record amounts of revenue. So if revenue is not the issue, why are we changing the tax code? To me, it's all about getting more control of your money and making government bigger and having more say. And it's understandable why 50's new best friend is now Donald Trump because we all want to keep our own money. You know what I mean? We don't. It's no
because
fun.
Donald Trump's in the club. That's all it is. Here's the deal. So all of these increases, there's a couple of reasons. So first, the increases have to pay down the COVID response. The government went into massive debts. Where the projected debt for the country at GDP is over 100%. This is not good for the long-term capacity of the United States. So part of his endeavors is to basically fund or replenish the national debt issue and try to get our debt markets under control. So to that extent, we recognize something needs to be done. I just think that Biden's approach in hitting individuals and wealthy individuals and this attack on the wealthy is not the right way to go about it. Second to that, we have a situation where, he wants to give, these are Robin Hood taxes. By taxing people that are making over $400,000 more, he's going to give them back to the poor. The problem is that when you tax small businesses, and I know the Democrats can hear this, but when you start having a wealthy individual making, I don't even think $400,000 is necessarily wealthy, but if you're making $400,000 a year or more, and you've got a house, you've got a couple of nice cars, you've got some people that you have that you do landscaping or whatever on your house. You have a daycare, private colleges, etc. All the things that you would think money can buy for someone. Well, those expenses don't go away. So what happens is that individual business owner that lost their UBI deduction, now they're paying more on individual taxes. They're going to be less likely to give raises, to give medical benefits, to give other type of treatments to the employees. Guess what? That lower income threshold people, no one's relying on that income to live. So by taxing the people more, it's going to have an impact. They're not going to stop buying their car. They're just going to stop paying you raises.
Exactly.
Gonna come out
When you start taxing the people who create the jobs, you know what I mean? They're going to create less jobs.
And here's the thing: people can say, "Well, I disagree with that. There's no science to it."
Mm.
So when Trump made the tax cuts, you saw what happened to the economy. He
Yes.
pushed the tax cut the Jobs Act, and what? We had record low unemployment. We had the stock market that had broken records across the board. You had investment. You had companies reopening manufacturing in the United States. I mean, these are huge benchmarks. Yeah, you had the China virus, big deal. I mean, that's going to happen. And maybe he could have done a better job. Who the hell knows? Let's face it. I don't know if Biden could have done better on Ivanka. But I think what we do know is that when Trump had an economy pre-COVID, his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, his incentives boosted the U.S. economy.
Yeah, again, and that's why it baffles me that he would be in such a hurry to change it. You know what I mean? If anything, you'd want to keep it the way it was going because everything was booming. But thanks for explaining that for us. We're gonna move on to the next topic at hand, and I don't know if you saw Ice Cube. The thought police are coming after Ice Cube.
Oh yeah,
because he dared think outside the box. And according to Joe Biden, I'm not sure he's black anymore.
well,
you know, it's funny because he actually didn't come out and endorse Trump. He's not a Trump fan. He's already made that very clear. All he did was speak with the Trump campaign about a program which they're calling the Platinum Black program, and he just wanted to give his input. He also offered the same thing to the Biden camp. The Biden camp basically told him, go kick rocks until after the election, and then we can sit down and talk after that. The Trump camp told him, come in now, we'll have a talk. He came in now and had a talk, and ever since then, I know the thought police, especially on Twitter, they've been after him. He's been defending himself, and it's a shame. I give him a lot of credit for being courageous and just thinking outside the box. Like, one of the things I liked, he said, okay, he's speaking to black people. He goes, all right, we're not going to vote for Trump. Now what? Like, what makes Biden such the great person that we got to vote for? That's what it has to be. And in that aspect, he's right because, history shows us over the last few decades, the black vote, 90+% goes to Democrats. And what are they getting for it? Obviously, not much. And they're the only demographic that votes that way at that high of a rate for one particular party. And I think that gets taken for granted by the Democrat Party. And obviously, Trump right now is a threat to that because he's actually been polling pretty high. I think the last election he got 8 or 9%, which is actually pretty high for a Republican. I have a feeling he might come close to doubling that, and if he does that, that does a lot of damage to the Democrat Party, and that's why we're seeing all the attacks, accusing him of racism and all those things. But I mean, we'll see. Like I said, I give Cube credit for it. At the same time, there's a lot of things he says I don't disagree with. He speaks a lot about victimhood. You owe me this, you owe me that because of what happened to my ancestors. I don't subscribe to that BS. But at least he's thinking and not just checking the box with the D. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I'm with you on that. I don't necessarily agree with everything that Ice Cube has to say about relations with Europe. I think he does do a little bit of a victimhood pimping, but ultimately the fact that he's not coming out and endorsing the candidate and was like, listen, I'm willing to talk with whoever's in power.
Yes,
it's finally someone recognizing the fact that Trump is the president, and he's here's the thing. We have a president that not only is listening to him, but inviting him to talk to the camp. You know what I mean? How do we work together? Look what he did with Kim K. Look what you're talking about the first step. I mean, this is a guy that's willing to entertain a good idea, regardless of where it's coming from. You got a good idea, come and talk to us about it. And that has been consistent across this 4 years of his administration. So the notion that the Biden camp is like, hey, you know what, kick rocks until November, we'll see what happens. I think that says more about Biden than the positive affirmation of Trump hearing him out.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, here's the guy that's supposed to be the champion of the black people. All right, let me come out and be the great white hype of the blacks. But he won't even sit down and talk to the guy and hear what he has to say.
No.
But Trump does. You know what I mean? That's the thing. So the racist talks to him, but the guy who's supposed to be championing the black cause won't entertain his commentary. Like, to me, that doesn't make any sense. And the fact of the matter is,
and it doesn't. And what does it
hurt? The said the Platinum Plan had a lot of elements from Ice Cube's plan.
And what does it hurt to sit down with the Trump campaign and hear them out? It doesn't mean you have to do anything they say, or it doesn't mean you're supporting him. It's just a meeting. And I mean, that's where we are politically in this country right now. I think the left has demonized the right so much that you can't even have a conversation with them, or you're deemed a traitor. It's insanity.
Yeah. Well, you can't say Republican without racist. Well, no, you can. Actually, you can.
The other thing I wanted to talk about is Amy Coney Barrett. She is. Looks like they're gonna vote for her on Monday, and it looks like they have the votes to get her in. Yeah, she is awesome. I don't know if you saw her little notepad what she wrote on there. I thought that was pretty cute.
You know, it's funny because I didn't see that on her notepad, but it makes sense why she would have that opinion. And no, actually, I think she's fantastic. You know, I love her approach. I love her demeanor and her willingness to be true to the Constitution. Doesn't want to use to create new law. Really, I think for all intent and purposes, she has been an absolute solid pick.
I think she's done a great job in these hearings. And, you know, one thing, though, you know, luckily for her, I do think the Democrats aren't stupid. They realized the big backlash they got last time around when they totally tried to destroy Kavanaugh. So I think they learned from that. And not that they approached her with kid gloves. They didn't. But they didn't accuse her of all sorts of ungodly things and, you know, smear her name and try to, you know, ruin her and her family. So, you know, it was good to see that at least, you know, they did that.
So, some level of civility, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, there was still some stuff that was a little silly, but it's politics. I get it. You know what I mean? You got to throw some stuff in there, but at least it wasn't what Kavanaugh was. I mean, that was.
Well, that was ugly. I will say this. You know what surprised me with the whole Barrett thing? You had Kennedy, that it was the first Catholic president. You know, you had North Democrats that were predominantly Tammany Hall Democrats, your Irish Catholics, you know, the strong Catholic base to the Democratic Party, and now the only thing they're on is for Catholicism. Like, is this the same party that we're talking about? Like, weren't you guys playing the victim card on Catholicism and being Catholic? I don't know, 30, 40, 50 years ago? Like, what's going on now? Like, now they're the Catholics of the Antichrist, apparently.
Yeah,
you know?
I think they're playing the long game. You know what I mean? I think they're looking down the road and seeing what the demographics are going to be in the U.S. and they're trying to shore it up for the long road. But I think they're killing themselves now. But, you know, we'll see. But, hey, stay right where you are. I'm going to pay some bills and we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Back.
Welcome back, folks. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is my man here, Hunter Biden. How 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 is it, you know, for you guys that don't know, I mean, if you don't know, you were living under a rock, or you're just watching CNN or MSNBC because they're not reporting on it. The story is he turned in his laptop to a repair shop for the laptop. He forgot it there, or you know, just left it there, didn't pay for it. Time came and went, and so it was basically confiscated by the place he gave it to. And in that laptop, there's a bunch of emails, a bunch of pictures, like the one posted there, where he's falling asleep with literally a crack pipe in his mouth.
Wait, wait. I thought he was sick with COVID and getting his temperature taken.
You
That's
know
not a.
that could be the spin on it, right? You get COVID and get his temperature taken. I like that. But the interesting thing is that the Biden campaign, they haven't denied anything. They're just not answering anything. And the crazy thing about it, these big tech companies like Facebook, Twitter, they are uh, burying the story. Um, More so, Twitter, you can't even post anything about it. All right? It comes right down. Um, and Facebook, they said they're slowing the story until they can confirm it. I mean, when have they ever done anything like that? And at first they came out and said that they weren't going to post anything because the information was retrieved through a hack. This is the same people that were pumping out the stories of Trump and his alleged tax returns. Nothing was verified there, and obviously those things were obtained illegally. So there's clearly a double standard here. What say you?
Is it like obtained by hack or not? Okay, like I'm going to ask you: is that or is that not Hunter Biden's face? Now you can tell me it's a really good deep fake, but we already know it's a guy who had a history of a drug problem. So the reality is that it's probably not a deep fake. You know,
It's nuts. And they actually, they tried to say it was a Russian hoax, right? They were trying to, pin it on Giuliani, saying that he's got ties to Russia. This whole thing's a Russian hoax. Then the FBI came out and actually verified that no, this is not a Russian hoax. So they don't even have that to hide behind anymore. But yet the story still, and not to mention, obviously, this thing broke last week. I think it was a few days before his town hall, and they didn't even ask him a question on it. Like, how absurd is that? And I doubt they'll ask him a question coming up this Thursday about it, unless Trump.
Trump will.
Sure. You know what I mean? But I've never seen the media so in the tank for a candidate so openly. You know what I mean? I've always known the media's been biased. You know what I mean? But it was more like a little speculation or this and that. But now it's so blatant. Like I don't even know what to say. I'm almost speechless about it.
Well, and here's the thing. I think the right move would be getting a special prosecutor and looking to see if there was any indiscretion during because obviously this picture came with emails and correspondence and other things that are some level tied to the Biden administration. So I think there really should be a special prosecutor involved.
Did you see? They actually, there's some pictures I couldn't even put on this show.
Oh, I know.
There's a picture of him sniffing coke off some girl's ass. Which is crazy.
He's living the dream.
He clearly is.
Yeah, I mean, he was making how much money off of a deal on the board of Burisma that he didn't earn?
I mean, $83,000 a month that he was getting paid on Burisma, and the guy had no energy, experience, or background whatsoever. He actually secured another $1.5 billion from China that went into some investment firm that he was working for. Another $3.5 million from a first lady or a wife of a mayor in Russia. I mean, if these things were going on with the Trump family, it would be all over the news. You know what I mean? And now recently, actually, they put this picture just came out here, and this picture is of Biden meeting allegedly his son's connections in Kazakhstan. And the interesting thing about that is that Biden is on record as saying that he has no idea of his son's business dealings. That he's old enough to answer these questions himself. He's totally acting like he's in the dark with all this. But here you go. Here's a picture of him with the people in Kazakhstan. What's interesting is I didn't see Borat in this picture. But, you know what I mean?
And here's the thing about that. I loved how Biden was like, well, we don't talk about each other's businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. What dad doesn't want to take an interest in his kids?
Exactly. And not only that,
I mean,
it's total BS because now they have the records of I guess Air Force Two, the flight logs, which show that Hunter went on a trip with his dad to China. You know what I mean? So you're trying to tell me the whole time on that trip they didn't talk about, hey son, what are you coming here to China to do? You know what I mean?
Well, they were talking about. Well, clearly, I think Hunter was probably just figuring out how he could escape dad for 5 minutes to load up on the crack pipe. I mean, that's.
But how I don't know. I don't understand how the media can just totally ignore. There's got to be some journalist out there working at these mainstream places that would is willing to go against the grain. Like how are they being threatened? What's going on? It's insane.
No, they're all losing their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Because the people in charge, the people that own these companies, are getting rid of anyone who says anything other than toe in the line.
Hey,
It's serious. Like, this is not. I mean, this is as far from reporting the truth as you can get.
No, I've never. I know in my lifetime I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this in my lifetime, and hopefully we don't see it. And hopefully though, hopefully people are seeing through this, and we'll see November 3rd. I have a good feeling about it actually, but I guess we'll see. But speaking of people losing their jobs, my buddy here, Jeffrey Toobin, he was recently suspended. I guess for the way he handles himself on Zoom calls.
No pun intended. The way he handled himself on Zoom. Come on, Felix.
I tried to sneak that in there, but what was this guy thinking? I guess he was on a Zoom call with his colleagues, and they all noticed that he was doing something else, obviously. At least Pee Wee Herman, he was in like in an adult video movie adult movie theater watching something, on a Zoom call. Are you serious? That's insanity.
So is this a Me Too movement issue also?
It could be because if you remember, he was one of the most outspoken people against Brett Kavanaugh when that whole thing was going down. You know what I mean? He was on his high horse. High horse of morality, talking this, talking that, and here he is whacking off on Zoom.
Yeah, this guy's out here flogging his dummy and expecting everyone. He's literally stroking his mule, and it's like, oh, there's no big deal here. Nothing to see here, folks.
Insanity. But what are you gonna do? But with that being said, hold on a second. We're gonna come back. We're gonna talk some NFL because I know Chris. I know you can't wait to see my NFL Power 5 for this week.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm sure.
Hold on. And we're back. Can you hear me, Chris?
I can hear you just fine.
Thank you. All right. This week's Week 6 Power 5, folks. Here it is. Without further ado. We have Seattle at number 1 now since KC choked and lost there. They actually had a bye week this week, so they slide in They slide into number 1. At number 2, you see who that team is? The Pittsburgh Steelers, Chris, sitting pretty at 5-0 with a very impressive blowout of the Cleveland Browns, 38-7. The defense finally showed flashes of what they were last year, and people were asking.
Against the Browns.
It's the Browns were 4-1, buddy. But you know what? I understand they are the Browns. They are the Browns, and I think maybe they're starting to remember who they are. Lord knows what goes on in the factory of sadness over there. I mean, all they do is produce misery for their fans. I feel for Brown fans because they're sitting at 4-1. In come their they got the rival game coming up against the Steelers. They're feeling pretty good about themselves. Then what happens? My man Minka shows up with a pick 6 and puts that all to bed. I mean, it was just a total embarrassing performance by the Browns and a great performance for the Steelers. The rookie there, Claypool, scored another touchdown, which was, I mean, the Steelers, that game was just insane. I didn't expect it to be that much of a blowout, but there it was. And it sets up a big showdown because next week they play my number 3 team here, the Tennessee Titans, who are also undefeated at 5-0. Which Henry had a huge game. He ran for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, with a nice comeback win against the Texans. I thought they were going to lose that game, but they showed a lot of character there. Tannehill leading them back from behind to take down the Texans. I dropped KC down to number 4. They won with a nice bounce back win actually against the Bills. Mahomes threw another 2 touchdown passes. And the Bills continue to stumble because, as you can see, they fell out of my top 5. And then at number 5, I give it to the Ravens, who just look solid. Their only losses to Kansas City, and they beat Philadelphia. Philadelphia's not as bad as that record shows. So, that's a nice win for the Ravens. Lamar Jackson had a monster game. He only threw for 186 yards and a touchdown, but he also ran for another 108 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that dude's like a human video game. My 2 honorable mentions I gave was the Green Bay Packers, and also, as much as I'm not buying anything Chicago is selling, I guess I got to put them in there. I mean, they only got 1 loss, so I'll let them. I'll give that to them, and that's my NFL Power 5. Your thoughts on that, Chris?
I think
was that a great Power 5 or the greatest Power 5 you've ever seen?
I will tell you, I agree with everyone. I think maybe with the exception of Baltimore, I haven't really given that much thought. The other 4, I think, absolutely deserve to be there. They've been playing, and they're not just playing great games; they're decimating teams. I mean, they really are coming out full guns blaring. They all look prime. I will tell you, the Steelers look absolutely fantastic. I hate to even admit that, but because it does cause me a little heartburn, and I think I threw up a little bit in my mouth. But no, the Steelers do look really good. I wonder when the PEDs are finally going to wear off on Roethlisberger from his injury recovery, and then he's going to actually start throwing like Roethlisberger again. Maybe he had to rape a few women to get some power. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Either way, I will tell you, regardless of all the jokes I can make, he's absolutely looking great. Claypool, no questions about it. That dude is an absolute stud.
He was a steal in the draft, and it's a bonus for me because obviously I'm a Steelers fan, but I'm also a huge Notre Dame fan. So to see that, it's double the fun. Yeah. What's your prediction for the Titans Steelers game next week? Battle of the undefeateds.
I don't know. Here's the thing. It depends on a lot of factors. But if I were to give my money, I'm going to say the Titans are going to take them. And I think I don't. My concern is the passing game for the Titans, but Henry is just a beast.
He's a monster. Did you see the way he flicked that? Did you see the way he flicked that guy from the Buffalo Bills, Josh Norman? I think it was.
He is. I mean, what is the guy, like 6'15"? Like he's like 7 feet tall, like 800 pounds of raw muscle.
He's a monster. He's definitely like a man amongst boys. He's a monster. But somebody's got to go 6-0. I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask Amy Barrett. Who goes 6-0 in that game? What's your prediction? There it is, folks. She's going with the Steelers.
And I hope on Monday she loses. No. But you did forget another team on that list. So I think you got the COVID-19 team. Because they dominated the NFL this year.
Well, you know what? You bring that up, and you're gonna like what I'm about to say, because the Patriots, I guess they only had like 2 practices over the past couple of weeks because they were decimated with the COVID-19, and they played a great game. They almost pulled it off against Denver. And I say a great game, I mean a great game considering all the things they had to overcome to even play that game. You know what I mean? So it just goes to show you, Bill Belichick is hands down, in my opinion, the best coach in the game. That being said, Tom Brady looks like he's getting the last laugh down in Tampa Bay because he put a beat down on the Green Bay Packers, beat them by 4 touchdowns.
Like that, I gotta tell you, nothing makes me happier than watching Aaron Rodgers have an absolute shit show of a day. Let me tell you, that goes down in the history. If you think you're having a bad day,
yeah.
Just remember, you're not having a Aaron Rodgers Packers versus Tampa Bay bad day. He was second lowest score of a QB that he's ever played. It was like a 35 QB rating.
Yep.
2 picks, no time. I mean, he got blown out. The game.
No, he definitely did. I mean, and they were cruising right up until this game. Like I did not see that coming. Kudos to the Tampa Bay defense, only holding them to 10. But Brady did his thing because they put up 38 points. They beat them by 4 touchdowns. Did not see that coming at all because I thought Green Bay was one of the top teams in the NFL. They still could be. I mean, it's a bad game. I don't think anybody's going undefeated this year. You know what I mean? So.
I will say the only thing that makes me feel better about the Aaron Rodgers thing is, again, I just like Touchdown. I don't like Aaron Rodgers. There's no secret there. But I just think he's kind of a fool. But beyond that, and overrated. But he had a bad day. Mm-hmm. He must have been complaining in some like chat room, and then Ezekiel Elliott must have been like, "Dude, hold my beer." He had the first like, holy shit, man.
You got to feel bad for Dallas Cowboy fan.
Yeah,
I mean, they came into this season, thinking Super Bowl, and it's another giant toilet bowl. I mean, I don't know who to feel worse for, them or Cleveland right now. But Cleveland, that was only their second loss. But Dallas, I mean, their playoff run hopes are done. They should, I guess, stop planning for drafting next year. I mean, Jerry Jones, he can't be too much fun to be around these days.
No, I mean, Cleveland, let's face it, as much as I make fun of Cleveland, because let's face it, they're the Browns. I mean, they laid a steamer, which is notorious in Cleveland. It happened. But overall, they've done okay. They've done better than they've done in prior years, so we'll see how that holds up.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, what I'm waiting for with Cleveland, because it's Cleveland is that collapse. Is that collapse coming? You know what I mean? Because this loss against the Steelers, that could definitely start you down a bad path. You know what I mean? There could be some infighting in the locker room. It's Cleveland. They're bound to screw this up.
Mm.
I mean, their team is loaded and everything. Like I said, everybody was waiting for them, to make their playoff run this year. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough to make a playoff run for anybody in that division, because I'm going to say it now, that the AFC North is the toughest division of football. When you got the Steelers, the Ravens, and I'm going to say a good Cleveland team there, there's not much room for error.
No, and that's been the case, though, for quite a few years now,
mm-hmm.
where you knew it was, whereas in the AFC East, you always knew, all right, the Patriots are winning this. It was never like maybe Miami's this year. Yeah, but you always knew it was going to be. It's like 2 decades, you were like, if they didn't make the playoffs, you're like, what?
No, that's why they were known as the AFC least.
But you're right. The AFC North has always been, at least for the Pittsburgh and the Ravens, for sure. I mean, those are 2 teams that have always been dominant. They're always kind of jockeying for position. It's a hotly contested race. But honestly, I got to tell you, I'm really not rooting for them, but I really do think that it's going to be Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Sorry, I got something in my throat.
It's still early. I'm not gonna spike the football yet. It's still early. Still got a lot of football. Hopefully everybody can stay healthy. But they are definitely going to be tough to beat, especially if that defense can play like they played this past week here against a pretty good offensive Browns team. But
Well, I got Connor and Claypool in my fantasy league, so I'm really hoping that they can continue a good trend.
mm-hmm. Well, we shall see. And Chris, thank you for joining me today. It was fun as usual. My
Thanks for
pleasure as
having me.
always. And I look forward to bringing you back on the show. With that being said, we're going to sign off. I will see you guys next week. By then, the debates should happen, which should be very interesting coming up Thursday. So
With Mike muting capability.
with what? Oh, yeah. They
Capability.
went and changed the rules on that, and it's fine. I think you're going to see a much more tame Donald Trump this time around. I think he's learned from the first one. What a lot of people are saying that he bailed out Biden by interrupting him so much. Let the guy dig his own grave, and he and Wallace bailed out Biden because Wallace jumped in there too a few times to separate the fighters. But this time around, I think you're going to see a much more tame Trump. I don't think you're going to need the muting button too much. But what I do hope he's going to do is bring up the Hunter Biden stuff, because obviously we know the moderators are not.
That's true. That's true.
But we shall see. But again, thanks for joining me, and I'll be back next week. And see y'all, folks. God bless.